Here we go. So I'd like you guys to help me with that. So we're gonna start. So for example, this one, the construction of the bridge presented several challenges to the engineers. So let me see. So for example, here originally it says engineers found the construction of the bridge hard for several reasons. And this is the way we rewrote it, right? The construction of the bridge presented several challenges to the engineer. So it's all about practicing those expressions. So the second one, guys, goes a further difficulty was that Swedish trains run on the left and Danish on the right. So how do you say that initial part, guys, which is a further difficulty? How did you put this one, guys, the exercise number 2? Guys, who wants to help me with that one, number 2? Really quick.
I put it with tackle with the second one. Another tackle was that the Swedish trains were on the left and Danish on the right.
Okay, so yeah, of course it goes with tackle, but we're missing something. Remember that tackle is a verb and it requires a direct complement. So for example, here in the exercise 3A, we had two options, tackle a problem or tackle difficulties. So we are in need of those two words.
Tackle a difficulty.
Excuse me?
Tackle a difficulty.
But another tackle difficulty, I mean, how do you put that together? I mean, we know it has to go with tackle and difficulty or tackle and problem, but exactly how?
Teacher, I put another problem they had to tackle.
Good, that's an option. That's an option. Good. Let me just put it over here. Another problem they had to tackle. You could have also said another problem to tackle. You can leave it like that. Another problem to tackle was that, etc. You see? So those are the options. Another problem to tackle or another problem they had to tackle. Good, good, good. This is exactly what I meant. So then we have the number 3, which goes with pose, and the original phrase says also created complications. So how do you say that? Also created complications, but using pose. Not that easy now that I see it. It requires certain level of analysis and creativity, if you ask me. So pose, guys. How do you say that using pose? Always keeping in mind that, for example, pose can go with problem and question. In this case, I believe it's not question, it's necessarily problem, but how do you put it together? Come on, guys, you can do this. This is not rocket science, although I know it's a sort of, you know, demanding, let's say, but it's not a big deal. I'm assuming you didn't do the homework, even though it was super easy and super short. Hello? Nobody wants to take the risk. I'm gonna just, you know what? Every time something like this happens, I always remember to say the same anecdote. I remember when I was in the university, there was a class that was called Lingüística General, and there was this professor. She was, you know, one of the best linguists in this country, basically, but she was a very, let's say, I don't know. She was a sort of a complicated person. And I remember that she asked us to read something, and some of us didn't read anything, like me, and some others were making like very obvious questions. So she started the class, and like 10 minutes later, like let's say at 7:10, if the class was at 7, let's say at 7:10, as she noticed that we hadn't read the text and that the people who read it didn't understand, she basically said like, I cannot believe you are in this university. We cannot continue like that. I will just leave, and I hope you take advantage of this time to read, and I'll see you next class. And then she just left. You see, so she just stayed there for 10 minutes, and she just left. So it's like, can you imagine if we do that? It's like, guys, don't you guys want to answer the exercise? Okay, so I'm leaving. That would be nice to do, but weird at the same time. Anyways, so Johannes says air traffic in nearby Copenhagen airport pose a problem. So it has to be in past, of course, because look, this verb is in past. Was. So we could leave it like that, more or less. Like a air traffic, but it's not air traffic. But it's not air traffic, by the way. Because that's the number. Oh no, yes, number 3. I'm so sorry. Air traffic in nearby Copenhagen airport posed a problem. I just put it a little bit smaller. Posed a problem, just like this. Look, thank you very much, Johannes. So posed a problem because it has to be in past. That's exactly how it works. Number 4, it says decided to combine. So we have to change it. We know that we have to use came, we have to use idea.
Teacher, I have one.
Mhm.
In the end, the designers came out with the idea to combine a bridge with a tunnel.
Designers came out with the idea, with an idea, with an or with the. Let me just say. Okay, so yes, that's exactly how it goes. Let me just put it over here. I need to change something. There we go. So we can simply say designers came out with the idea, right? That's exactly how it works. Thank you very much, Felipe. Number 5 says, get around the problem. So the project also had to get around the problem of discovering World War II bombs on the seabed. Well, that's quite a problem for a project, certainly. So get around the problem. And we know that it has to do with obstacle, and the options we've got with obstacle here, we've got at least overcome, right? We know that it could be with overcome. So how would it be, guys, exactly?
Overcome,
Mhm.
overcome an obstacle.
To overcome the obstacle. It would be the obstacle because it's like the project also had to overcome the obstacle of discovering. So it would be overcome the obstacle. Overcome the obstacle, right? And the last one, dream, it says here, and altogether it took 9 years for the two countries to achieve their plan, But in this case, it will go with dream, and the options we clearly have is realize. That's very easy. So how would it be, guys, in that case? For the two countries, two. This is the easiest.
I put the two countries realize their dream.
Realize their dream. There you go, the guys. So that's exactly how it goes. That was quite a very easy practice there. Okay, guys. So this is quite an interesting discussion we are going to hopefully have here. So look at this. We are going to discuss in groups, and this is something we are going to discuss all together later. But in groups, we are going to discuss which of these breakthroughs, guys, look at this expression, breakthroughs, have had the greatest impact on our lives and how. And here we have 5 examples of breakthroughs. You see, breakthroughs. These are the examples of the breakthroughs. So we've got essentially 5 breaking inventions. Electricity, the nail. You know what the nail is in this case? It's not clearly the nail, right? But you know what they mean by nail in this case? No?
No, teacher.
Okay, this is something we use, for instance, when we want to, when we are building something in wood, like furniture. We use the hammer. We use hammer and nails. You know, the nails. You can also put nails on the walls, for example, so you can hang there your mirrors or stuff like that. Do you get it? No? Say something, please. You know, I cannot see you, so I cannot, you know, receive that feedback when you say like, do you get it? And people say like, so it's like, I understand. So as I don't see you, I don't have that feedback. So my only possibility of feedback would be your voice. So if I say, do you guys get it? It would be good if you say yes or no.
Kind of,
Yes.
teacher. Can you repeat it?
Yes or no? I didn't understand. I'm sorry.
Kind of. Can you repeat it, please?
Yeah, nails are this little, most of the cases, these little pieces of metal, right? That you hit with a hammer to put in places, you see. So you know what? I'm gonna do it the easy way. So I'm gonna show you a picture of a nail, so you see exactly how it looks. Oh no. So here we go. Let me show you a picture of some nails. This is a nail. Can you see it? I mean, these are several nails.
Okay, okay. Got it. Thank you.
So that's why that's what I said. I use it for building, you know, wooden furniture and stuff. So guys, what you guys have there, let me just put it over again. So in your breakout rooms, you will basically reflect and think about which of these breakthroughs have had the greatest impact on our lives and how. And of course, you could have said like the wheel. I mean, I don't care about it because it was invented so many centuries ago. But that's the point. That's the point, that the wheel still has a very serious impact in today's life. So, anyways, so it's like we are going to discuss these different breakthroughs and think about which ones have had the greatest impact in our lives and how exactly they've had an impact in our lives. It is as simple as that. We're gonna take just 5 minutes for that, guys, and then we'll be back here. So hopefully, as you guys go to the breakout rooms, that's going to somehow help you wake up because you are extremely slow and lazy this morning. So I don't like that. So you guys will be able to choose your room even. So I also give you that chance. We've got 10 groups, 5 minutes, and we'll be back in a moment, guys. So let's go and please do it. Okay, so I think there's a problem with that. So I'd like to listen to Daniel then. Daniel Machuca, please.
Sure thing. As my partner said, I discussed with Gerson, and indeed, one of the breakthroughs in history and has the greatest impact in our life, it's gotta be electricity. I mean, it's literally in everything we see nowadays. And you could say it's an invention that it's been changing, even the concept itself is changing. But no, it's only been changing the way it's produced and the way it's like transported, the way it's distributed. Like we have the nail, like I could only think of a nail gun, so you can put the nails more accurately. The steam engine is now evolving. We do not need that anymore. I mean, it builds a lot. Tesla is doing quite a great job right now at that. The internal combustion engines, again, it's whole history. And the wheel, it's still a great invention. Even the Sumerians back in the 4000s before Christ had that invention, and because of that, they could have won wars against barbarians and invasions and transport their supplies to other city-states and whatnot. But for now, in modern days, it's gotta be electricity.
Thank you very much, Daniel. That was a very good explanation and justification of your answer. And yeah, I think we all agree that electricity is somehow the most important breakthrough in our days, as it is present pretty much everywhere, and even especially these days, as as we had been working from home and studying from home. Its electricity has played a key role in keeping us alive, basically. There you go. So guys, thank you very much. What we're gonna do now, we're gonna listen to a part of a radio program about this significant breakthroughs. And they say there are different contestants in the program. Give me a second, please. I'm sorry. So they say there are several contestants in the program. And what we're going to do is to focus on two things. First, on the breakthrough they talk about, and of course, on the impact of that breakthrough. So let me just share my screen over again, but this time using audio. Let me see. There you go. Share sound. So let me see. That's the audio 2.2. So guys, would you please let me know if you can hear well?
Audio 2.2.
Can you hear well?
Yes, teacher.
Great, so let's do this. So remember, so far, this first time, you just listen and note the breakthrough and the impact. That's it. That's all you gotta do this time.
Audio 2.2.
Hello and welcome to In My Opinion, the radio show in which 3 contestants have just 60 seconds to present the best answer to a topical question. And of course, as usual, our audience here in the studio will vote after hearing the 3 speakers. Our first question tonight is, what was the most significant breakthrough in engineering? And over now to our first contender, Marion. Your 60 seconds starts now.
Good evening. In my opinion, the most significant breakthrough in engineering was the wheel. Until the invention of the wheel in Mesopotamia about 6,000 years ago, early humans had made pots by hand, dressed in animal fur, and pulled heavy objects from place to place. How inefficient. But even once they'd invented the wheel, its use was limited to things like making pots. In fact, early humans had been using the wheel for 300 years before they realised they could use it to transport both themselves and heavy objects. But the wheel is not just about transport. It's had a huge impact on many later inventions. Without the wheel, inventions such as the watch, the car, or the computer would have been impossible.
Thank you, Marion. Now over to Trevor. Your 60 seconds starts now.
Thanks. Well, in my opinion, the most important breakthrough was electricity. In the past 100 years, engineering is said to have produced some of its greatest achievements to date. And the key to most of these is electricity. Electricity has revolutionised virtually every aspect of modern life. Its use became widespread at the end of the 19th century, and it has been transforming our lives ever since. Can you imagine our life today without it?
That sounds like it from Trevor. Now on to our final contestant in this first round, Lucy. Lucy, your time on the most significant breakthrough in engineering starts now.
OK, well, my answer to the question is a little unusual. You see, in my opinion, the most significant breakthrough has not yet happened. According to the National Academy for Engineering in the USA, some of the biggest breakthroughs are predicted to have taken place by the middle of the 21st century. And I think the most significant is that experts say that by 2040, we will have found new types of fuel. This could have a dramatic effect on our current problems with energy supply and the environment. Some say that in just a few decades, new energy sources will have been developed through nanotechnology, the engineering of matter at the level of molecules. And that's a really...
Sorry to interrupt, Lucy. I'm afraid your time's up. And now, having heard our three speakers, it's over to our audience to decide who was...
Oh, guys, I'm so sorry. I was talking alone. That's a shame. So let me just share my screen again. So, oh, wait a minute. Oh, damn it. So guys, the first thing I wanted to note here, as I said, was basically how many inventions they describe in the audio. So how many? There are 3 inventions, right? Okay. And talking about that, the first invention they mention is, which one is it?
The wheel.
The wheel, right? And somehow that's, that this is one of the, as they would say, the quintessentials of inventions. Basically, it's like one of the key inventions ever. And as they say here, well, it's obvious the reason, right? That it enable people to make pods and transport themselves and objects, and also that is present in the invention of other elements, right? So they also mention other inventions which are, let's say, directly impacted by the wheel. Do you remember those?
The car and the computer.
There you go. And also the watch. So wheels were important also for creating other inventions. So that's why they are so important. The second one, guys, was
Electricity.
Electricity. And well, it is important because, it's the key to the modern engineering. And as you guys said before, we still use it and depend on it. And it completely revolutionized modern life, right? And the last one, the third one, guys, remember that one?
New types of fuel.
New types of fuel or alternative fuels. That's something they mention. And they say it's important because it addresses, the different problems we have with energy supply and the environment. These are what they call renewable energies, right? So that's why they are so important. There you go, guys. So that's, let's say, the starting point of this. What we are going to do now, let me just share my screen again. What we're gonna do, guys, as you can see here in the exercise C, is to actually complete the sentences we have, right? The sentences we have here, we've got 4 different sentences, and basically we have to, listen and complete them. So we get the 4 sentences, and that's it. So here we go, guys. I'm gonna play the audio again, and this time we're gonna focus only on completing the sentences, and then we're gonna read them. So let's do this.
Audio 2.2.
Hello and welcome to In My Opinion, the radio show in which 3 contestants have just 60 seconds to present the best answer to a topical question. And of course, as usual, our audience here in the studio will vote after hearing the 3 speakers. Our first question tonight is, what was the most significant breakthrough in engineering? And over now to our first contender, Marion. Your 60 seconds starts now.
Good evening. In my opinion, the most significant breakthrough in engineering was the wheel. Until the invention of the wheel in Mesopotamia about 6,000 years ago, Early humans had made pots by hand, dressed in animal fur, and pulled heavy objects from place to place. How inefficient. But even once they'd invented the wheel, its use was limited to things like making pots. In fact, early humans had been using the wheel for 300 years before they realised they could use it to transport both themselves and heavy objects. But the wheel is not just about transport. It's had a huge impact on many later inventions. Without the wheel, inventions such as the watch, the car, or the computer would have been impossible.
Thank you, Marion. Now over to Trevor. Your 60 seconds starts now.
Thanks. Well, in my opinion, the most important breakthrough was electricity. In the past 100 years, engineering is said to have produced some of its greatest achievements to date. And the key to most of these is electricity. Electricity has revolutionised virtually every aspect of modern life. Its use became widespread at the end of the 19th century, and it has been transforming our lives ever since. Can you imagine our life today without it?
That sounds like it from Trevor. Now on to our final contestant in this first round, Lucy. Lucy, your time on the most significant breakthrough in engineering starts now.
Okay, well, my answer to the question is a little unusual. You see, in my opinion, the most significant breakthrough has not yet happened. According to the National Academy for Engineering in the USA, some of the biggest breakthroughs are predicted to have taken place by the middle of the 21st century. And I think the most significant is that experts say that by 2040, we will have found new types of fuel. This could have a dramatic effect on our current problems with energy supply and the environment. Some say that in just a few decades, new energy sources will have been developed through nanotechnology, the engineering of matter at the level of molecules. And that's a really...
Sorry to interrupt, Lucy. I'm afraid your time's up. And now, having heard our three speakers, it's over to our audience to decide who was...
Here we go, guys. So we are going to complete the sentences. Let me see. That was exercise 5C. So let me just put them over here. Here we go. Okay, guys. So the first one goes: early humans
Had made.
had made for 3,000 years. I don't get it.
I
Early
believe
Had been
using
have
the
been using
had been using the wheel. There you go. Had oh my God, had been using the wheel. Early humans had been using the wheel for 300 years before they realized they could use it to transport both themselves and heavy objects. That's what they say here. But my point is, they were using the wheel for 3,000 years and they didn't know, 300 years, I'm sorry, but they didn't know they could use it to transport stuff. So what were they using the wheel for? To hit other humans or what? I mean, this is a little bit confusing, don't you think? So I don't know. Perhaps they were using the wheels in other contexts like mills. I don't know. That was confusing. Okay, guys, number 2, virtually every aspect of modern life.
Electricity has revolutionized.
Very good. Electricity has revolutionized virtually. I need to double check something, guys, regarding the spelling. This spelling is good, but it sounds confusing to me, as I would write it with S. Let me just double check, because normally the spelling, oh, there you go. Yeah, both the spellings are okay. You can write revolutionize with S or with Z, like as in this case, although this is the British spelling with Z. because we could also put it with S. Both the spellings are okay, okay? They are acceptable, both of them. Number 3, some of the biggest breakthroughs
Are predicted.
are predicted. You're missing a little part. To have taken place. Are predicted to have taken place. Are predicted to have taken place by the middle of the 21st century. In just a few decades, number 4, in just a few decades, new energy sources
will have been developed.
Will have been developed, yeah. Will have been developed.
Through nanotechnology.
Through nanotechnology. There you go. We can put it with that complement, or we can leave it like this as well. But guys, the point here, guys, the point this exercise important is essentially to see, well, it's not that just for that reason, but here we see in context some verb phrases, right? So remember that, and this is something we have repeated so many times. Verb phrases are groups of related words. So first of all, we analyze the noun phrases in which we have a number of words that all together describe a noun, but there is no verb. And in this case, it's exactly the other way around. When we talk about the verb phrase, we talk about a group of words that denote an action without taking care of necessarily of the subject of it. So for example, in the first one, guys, had been using. You see, those 3 words together would be the verb phrase in that case, had been using. In the second one, has revolutionized. Third, are predicted. And the last one, will have been developed. Actually, it's 4 different words together that make up the verb phrase. So this is just for you to keep in mind. In terms of the practice, it doesn't have a very serious implication because talking about the texts, perhaps what makes a most obvious difference when writing has to do with the types of sentences we use and the types of clauses. So understanding the concept of clauses and sentences is even more important when it comes to writing than the concept of phrases, since that's not typically one of the reasons for the mistakes that we sometimes have when we are writing. So guys, we also said that this lesson is not about verb phrases. I mean, we have verb phrases there, but the focus of it has to do with perfect forms. Okay, so it's all about perfect forms. So we have past perfect, present perfect, and future perfect. As it says here, we use perfect forms to connect 2 periods in time, right? And we look back from one time to an earlier time, an event or action in the earlier time period usually has an impact on the later one. So in general terms, we can say that we use perfect forms in both in past perfect, in past, present, and future. When we want to relate, when we want to connect to periods in time, that's the first thing to note. Yes, Felipe, please.
Teacher, I have a question. Do you recommend to teach the perfect forms through graphics?
Through graphics?
Through graphics.
Well, it depends a lot on the kind of learner you have, of course, but perfect forms are often very, very useful because, as I said, when we use a perfect form, we know that we are using it to connect to periods of time. So this is, this is something we've seen for ages, right? These kinds of graphics like this, just to explain the relation that the actions have. So these typical timelines are always very useful because, as I said, every time we use a perfect form, we are every time we use a perfect form, we are talking about the connection, the relation of 2 events in a timeline. So just to show that graphically, different kinds of graphics can be used to. So at least in my case, whenever I do that, I always use these kinds of timelines. I believe they are very useful So yeah, I would say yeah, instead of just, you know, giving the explanation on our examples. Timelines especially are very useful to understand the connection of the events in the timeline. So yeah.
Okay.
Maria Alejandra says, verb phrases can only be found on perfect tenses. No, they are always on perfect tenses, always, but not only on perfect tenses. The best case of that are, for example, the passive voice. Passive voice also includes that. So for instance, was developed, you see, there is a verb phrase. Or also continuous forms, is going, is reading, you see. So it's found on several kinds of tenses. And if you ask me in this very moment, I can give you those two, I mean, lots of examples, because we have passive voice, continuous forms, all the every single case of modal verbs. You know, modal verbs make up verb phrases. If you say can go, you say that's also a phrase, a verb phrase. So there are lots of cases in which we find them. Okay, guys. So let's try to let me. Wait a minute. This is not looking good on my screen. Oh, give me a second. The thing is that it sometimes gets a little bit too big. You cannot see the difference, but believe me, I can. So let me just organize it again. So as you guys can see in that exercise, what we have to do is just to come up with the idea of which one of these tenses is each one of them. So the first one, guys, in this one we have here it is, you know, the timeline. So we have an event that is going to happen in the future, and that event is going to have the impact on another event in the future later. So this is an example of what kind of perfect form? Future, present, past perfect. What would it be? This is future perfect, present perfect, past perfect.
That is a future perfect.
There you go. It's very easy, right? Future perfect. Future perfect. So as we have in this example, it is very clear when we use future perfect when we want to specify how an action in the future has an impact on a later action in the future. So for instance, they say by 2040, we will have found alternative fuels to help address problems with energy supplies. You see, so it's like, what is the action in the I mean, one of the actions is implicit, right? Because we could have said by 2040 we will found, and that wouldn't be a perfect form. But in this case, when you say we will have found, the second X, this one over here, let me try to use a pointer or something. This second X here is the actual act of finding the alternative fuels. You see, so this second X is that, the action of finding the alternative fuels. But this first X here refers to the efforts, or, you know, the research, the investigation which is needed to find the fuels, you see. But in this sentence is implicit, and that's the issue with perfect forms sometimes, especially with future forms, because we say, well, what is the difference? I mean, we could say simply we will find, right? Instead of saying we will have found. I mean, we will have found sounds confusing and more complex, and that is true, it is more complex, but we use it to implicitly say that there will be some efforts, you see. So it is, as you said, by 2040 we will do some research, so we will find alternative fuels. You see, this is the equivalent, but you put that in way less words. Do you get that point, guys? That's essential to understand. I mean, and why we use a future perfect form instead of using just future with will. You see, if you use future with will, we are talking about only one action, which is the action of finding. We will find by 2040, we will find alternative fuels. But if you use future perfect, you are a little bit more specific in saying that something else needs to be done before you actually find the fuels in this case. But this first part, this first event or period in time is implicit. Do you understand that, guys?
Yes, teacher.
It's like you say it without saying it, you see?
Teacher,
Mhm.
so basically it's specific that something saying, well, need to be done before the research. Is the present perfect? The future perfect?
I don't get it. I'm sorry. I
You
didn't
said
understand.
specific that something is, well, need to be done before the what? Before the
second event, the second period of time.
okay.
Yeah, it's like actually there is a similarity. I mean, in Spanish it works like that. If you say, for instance, I mean, same thing happens in Spanish. I mean, exactly the same thing. If you say, en el 2040 vamos a encontrar combustibles alternativos. En el 2040 vamos a encontrar o encontraremos. If you use that form, you are saying that you are 100% sure that it's going to happen because you are doing something already. ¿Sí? Entonces, como en el 2040 vamos a encontrar esos combustibles porque es que estamos haciendo esta investigación y esta investigación nos lleva allá. Pero si nosotros decimos, para el 2040 habremos encontrado, ese habremos encontrado lleva implícita una afirmación previa, que es el hecho de que se habrá hecho una investigación, ¿sí? Es una forma de decir, para el 2040, dadas las investigaciones y el trabajo que se va a hacer, habremos encontrado o encontraremos estos combustibles. You see, so that is essentially the difference, and it happens both in English and in Spanish. When we use these future forms, we are always also putting there an implicit action right before. So that's the key. And remember, every single time, with no exception, every single time we use perfect forms, we are connecting to events. It could be in the future, it could be in past and present, or it could be in the past. So that's essentially how it goes. So let's go over the second one and see how it relates with this one. So in this case, the first event happens in the past, and the second event goes in the present. So what is it, guys? What kind of perfect form is that?
That is a present perfect continuous.
That is a present perfect continuous. To be more specific. Oh wow, what happens here? Wow, why does it look like that? Oh, wait a minute, it looks so weird. Oh, I was writing with this other tool. So this is, come on, present perfect. So that's the present perfect, right? Oh, wait a minute. What's going on with this? That's the present perfect, guys. So in the case of the present perfect, why do I have this? Anyways, in the case of the present perfect, as I said, we are talking about an action in the past that has an implication in the present or has an impact in the present. So for example, we say the use of electricity has been transforming our lives ever since. So what is the first event? The invention of electricity, right? And then we talk about how that still has an impact on who we are and what we do. So that's present perfect. And that's somehow the easiest when we talk about an action that is started in the past, but it's still present in the present. So that's exactly how it goes.
Teacher?
Yes, mister.
In the second one is present perfect continuous, and in the third is no. Because
in the third,
in the second, well, that has a verb with ing, so that is a continuous, no?
Well, yes. I mean, that's a present perfect continuous if you want to be more specific. But in this case, we just want to analyze if it's future, present, or past. That's where we want to get. But yeah, of course, what you say, it's absolutely right. Let me just delete this. There you go. What you say is absolutely right. To be more specific, this is present perfect continuous. But in this case, we just want to see exactly if it's present perfect, past perfect, or future perfect. That's essentially what we mean in this case. The number 3, guys, in this case, we are talking about 2 actions that happen in the past. And as we have covered the other 2, there is no other option but to say that this is past perfect. And we say that past perfect, as I said, the 2 actions happen in the past. So for example, until the invention of a wheel, humans had made pots by hand. You see? So basically, in this case, the first X refers to humans making pots by hand, and the second X refers to the invention of the wheel. You see? So it's like something happening before something else. But you have to be careful, because it doesn't mean that this first part, guys, as you can see here, this is a whole sentence. And we have 2 clauses, right? We have 2 clauses, which means that we have 2 different parts. And as you can see, everything is connected. So we have 2 clauses, but what kinds of clauses are these, guys? This is such, I mean, you cannot imagine how happy I am to find this sentence here. So I can make this question to you, and you can see that language conventions are important. So what kinds of clauses are these, guys? We have 2, right? We have 1 sentence with 2 clauses.
Dependent.
Which one is a dependent? Which one is a dependent?
The first one?
There you go. And the second one is independent, right? But in this case, the dependent clause, talking about the timeline, the dependent clause represents the second action, you see, because that happens later. You see, it's as if we said something like this, look, as if we said, I don't know, something like this. Until the invention of the wheel, right? And we are here, as we say that, we are here, until the invention of the wheel, humans have made pots by hand. You see? So that's exactly how we place ourselves when describing these actions. So you have to be careful, because that's all about creativity. You could say that in a whole different way. We could say humans had made pots by hand before the invention of the wheel, and it would be the same thing, and you would follow the timeline more clearly, let's say. But that depends completely on how you want to say that. So guys, I will give you 2 minutes. So you complete 4, 5, and 6. You will do this individually just to see which one is future, which one is present, which one is past. Okay, so I'll give you 2 minutes. Let me just. Okay, guys. So I'm afraid we don't have enough time for the other group. So tomorrow, I will start with the groups number 4 and 9. I will start with them, so I can give them the feedback. But guys, in general terms, something which is very, very important for you to understand, and that's basically is going to be the homework for tomorrow. I would like you to simply answer this question for tomorrow. This is going to be the homework for tomorrow, just to answer this question. What's an iterative process? That is the question. And this question is going it's going to help you understand better what we are doing and why we are creating a timeline just for 6 months, and also everything related to your goals and everything. So this question is so important to answer in this moment. This is the only homework we have for tomorrow. So tomorrow I will work with groups number 4 and 9, give them feedback, which are the groups which are missing. And then I will like to answer any questions you have about this assignment for Thursday, okay, because it's for Thursday. That's it, guys. So if that's okay with you guys, as we just run out of time, I'm going to call the attendance, and then we leave. Remember, that is the homework for tomorrow. Very simple, just to answer that question. Give me a second. Just to answer that specific question we've got there, which is what's an iterative process? Okay. Oh my God, wait a minute. Okay, so let me just call the attendance really quick, and then we are good to go. Gerson Abril.
I'm here.
Tatiana Álvarez. Laura Arias.
I'm here, teacher.
Laura Bermúdez.
Good morning, teacher. I'm here.
Hello. Ana María Buendía.
Here.
Andrés Felipe Bueno.
Teacher.
I'm here.
Camila Ulla.
I'm here.
Erika Corredor.
I'm here, teacher.
Michael Cortés. Tatiana Spitia.
Here, teacher.
Valeria Fonnegra.
Here, teacher.
Miguel Ángel Forero.
I'm here.
John González.
Present, teacher.
Hey, Michael. Melissa Goyes.
I'm here.
Ashley Huesa. Ashley not here. Diego Llano.
Here, teacher.
Daniel Machuca.
Hello, good morning.
Hello. Johannes Martinez.
Present.
Angie Martinez.
Here, teacher.
Nicolás Medina.
Here, teacher.
Sara Monroy.
Present, teacher.
Alexander Mutis.
Here, teacher.
Camila Navarro.
Present.
Magdalena Ojeda.
Me, teacher.
Dylan Páez.
Present, teacher.
Diana Palacios.
Here, teacher.
Dina Rodríguez.
I'm here, teacher.
Angie Rodríguez.
Here, teacher.
David Torres.
Here, teacher.
María Alejandra Triana.
Here, teacher.
Angie Valero.
Hello, teacher.
Hello. Diana Valoyes.
Good morning.
Hello. And Wendy Vega. Okay, guys, so that's all for today. As I said, we're gonna continue tomorrow with groups number 4 and 9. I'll give you feedback on that. And those of you who have any sort of question regarding the, okay, Magdalene, thank you. Who got any question regarding this exercise that we are working on for Thursday, tomorrow will be the day for asking me that. Remember, we have a very simple question, which is just to answer, simple homework, which is to answer the question, what's an iterative process? And that's how we're going to start tomorrow's session. So guys, once again, thank you very much for your time, and I'll see you tomorrow.
See you, teacher.
Bye.
Thank you, teacher.
Bye.
Teacher,
Yep.
could you repeat again what's the homework? What is the homework?
To answer one question, which is the question that I put on the chat box, which is what's an iterative process? This is the question. That is it.
Okay, teacher.
There we go.
Thank you. Bye,
No-
teacher.
no
Thank you.
worries. And those of you who are missing for feedback, don't worry. We're going to do it tomorrow. So tomorrow we're going to have this review tomorrow. Okay, so don't
Thank
worry
you,
about that.
teacher.
There we go.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you, teacher. See you tomorrow.
Yep.